The world tells us that love is the ultimate human experience. Songs celebrate it. Movies chase it. Our earliest stories end with it. Every fairy tale concludes with the promise of forever. Every ballad speaks of longing fulfilled. But for some, that chapter remains unwritten. Not from lack of opportunity, not from fear, not from circumstance or misfortune, but from something quieter, something that lives in the very architecture of the self. If you have ever felt like you are watching a movie in a language you do not speak, where everyone around you seems to understand something you cannot quite grasp, then this journey is for you. If you have ever sat among friends as they describe the dizzying heights of new romance and wondered why those words feel like descriptions of a foreign country, then you are not alone. We are going to walk through the landscape of the heart that has never fallen, not to fix anything, not to diagnose or pathologize, but to understand, to illuminate, to bring the light of compassion to corners that have long sat in shadow. Because there is a difference between a heart that is waiting and a heart that is simply wired another way. There is a difference between someone who has not yet found love and someone for whom romantic love is not the organizing principle of their existence. And both deserve to be seen. Both deserve to be honored. Both deserve a place in our understanding of what it means to be fully human. Let us begin where all stories of the self must begin, in the earliest years of life, in the soft tissue of memory before memory has words. Before we ever have language for love, we learn what connection feels like. A baby reaches for a caregiver. That caregiver responds with warmth and presence, or does not. In those tiny moments, repeated thousands of times across the first years of life, a blueprint forms. Psychologists call this attachment theory. And this blueprint, written in the nervous system long before we can read or speak, becomes the template for how we understand closeness for the rest of our lives. Consider a case profile. A child grows up in a home where affection is unpredictable. Sometimes the parent is warm, engaged, present. Other times, distant, distracted, emotionally unavailable. The child learns that love is not reliable. It comes and goes like weather, like storms that appear without warning and sunshine that cannot be counted upon. This child might grow into an adult who keeps emotional distance, not because they want to, but because closeness feels unsafe. The body remembers what the mind has forgotten. The nervous system carries the imprint of those early lessons, even when the conscious mind has moved on. Now consider another narrative illustration. A child grows up in a home where basic needs are met with efficiency and competence. Food appears on time. Shelter is secure. Physical safety is maintained. But there is not much emotional warmth, not much tenderness or soft connection. The parent provides the mechanics of care without the poetry of it. This child learns that needs can be met without emotional fusion. They become self-sufficient, independent, capable. They learn to need less from others because needing brought them nothing extra. This is not necessarily a wound. It is an adaptation. A way of being that worked in the environment where it developed. These early experiences shape what feels natural in adult life. For some people, romantic love feels like home, like returning to something they have always known. For others, it feels like a foreign country, where they do not speak the language, and the customs are strange. Neither response is better or worse. They are simply different starting points on the map of human connection. But attachment style is only one piece of the puzzle. There are other forces at work in shaping who seeks romantic love and who does not. There is something else we must consider, something that lives even deeper than experience. something that precedes learning. Temperament. Some people are born with nervous systems that seek stimulation. They crave connection. They feel energized by the presence of others. They light up in social settings. Their batteries charge through interaction. Other people are born with nervous systems that prefer quiet, that feel most alive in solitude, that recharge in stillness rather than company, that find too much interaction draining rather than energizing. This is not learned. This is biology written into the structure of the brain and nervous system from birth. Some babies are more sensitive to touch and seek it out. Some babies are more easily overwhelmed by noise and need quiet to settle. Some children prefer boisterous play with many friends. Others prefer quiet activities alone or with one trusted companion. These differences persist across a lifetime. They are not flaws to be corrected, but variations to be understood. A child who prefers quiet play does not necessarily become an adult who craves romantic partnership. They might find their deepest fulfillment in close friendship, in creative work pursued in solitude, in the company of ideas rather than the company of a lover, in the satisfaction of mastery and contribution rather than the drama of romance. There is a word that has emerged in recent years to describe one expression of this difference: aromanticism. It refers to people who experience little or no romantic attraction, not because something went wrong in their development, not because they are broken or damaged or incomplete, but because romance is simply not part of their emotional vocabulary. Aromantic people can still feel deep love. They can feel profound connection. They can experience loyalty, tenderness, and devotion. They can care deeply about others and be cared for in return. But the specific flavor of romantic love, that mixture of longing and idealization and desire for fusion, that particular song with its crescendos and harmonies does not play in their hearts. The music is simply different. For a long time, there was no word for this experience. People who felt this way often assumed something was wrong with them. They went through the motions of dating because it seemed like what everyone else was doing. They wondered why the spark never caught, why the fire that others described never ignited in their chest. They felt like actors in a play they did not audition for, delivering lines that someone else had written for someone else to speak. Having a word matters. It tells you that you are not alone, that there are others who hear the same silence where others hear music, that your experience has been mapped and named and recognized as a legitimate variation of human nature. But even for those who are not aromantic, there are many paths that lead to a life without romantic love. Some people find themselves so absorbed in their work, their art, their calling, their mission, that romantic partnership simply never rises to the top of their priorities. They are not avoiding love. They are not afraid of intimacy. They are not hiding from connection. They are simply following a different star. Their passion is directed elsewhere. Their life force flows into channels that do not include romance. We see this dynamic in the stories of certain scientists, artists, and thinkers throughout history. People whose minds were so consumed by questions, by the urgency of creation, by the pursuit of understanding, that the ordinary dramas of romance seem distant, not less valuable in the abstract, just not relevant to their particular journey through life. There is a particular kind of mind that operates this way, a mind that finds its deepest satisfaction in internal exploration. In turning ideas over like stones to see what crawls beneath, in building worlds inside the imagination, in solving puzzles and uncovering truths. For this kind of mind, the intense emotional weather of romantic love can feel distracting, even disruptive. like static that interferes with the signal they are straining to hear. The inner world is already so rich, so populated with thoughts and dreams and questions, that the addition of another person feels like too much. Not unwelcome necessarily, just overwhelming. This is not coldness. This is not disconnection. This is not emotional poverty. It is simply a different distribution of attention, a different allocation of the heart's limited resources. Some people are built to pour themselves into one other person. Some people are built to pour themselves into ideas, into work, into contribution that ripples outward in wider circles. And then there are those who have simply never encountered the right person at the right time. Love is not just chemistry between two compatible people. It is also circumstance, geography, timing, historical accident, the particular intersection of two lives at a moment when both are ready and available and open. Some people move through decades without that intersection ever occurring. Not because they are unlovable, not because they have built walls too high or dug moats too deep, not because they are deficient in some essential quality, but because life is random in ways we do not like to admit. Some people happen to meet their person in high school or college when the pool of potential partners is large and time is abundant. Others never do, despite equal worthiness. This is not destiny working its mysterious ways. This is probability. And probability does not care about fairness or merit, or how much someone might want something. Now we must turn to something more uncomfortable. Something that sits at the intersection of psychology and culture. The weight of living in a world that assumes romantic love is the measure of a complete life. Walk into any bookstore. The shelves groan with romance novels and self-help books about finding your soulmate. Turn on any radio. Love songs outnumber every other variety. Watch any film. The romantic subplot appears even in stories ostensibly about other things. The message is everywhere. Love is the answer. Love is what you are missing. Love is what will make you whole. Love is the ultimate achievement, the final destination, the meaning beneath all other meanings. This message is so pervasive that it becomes invisible, like air, like gravity. Like the fact that we are spinning through space on a rock orbiting a nuclear furnace. We stop noticing that it is a message at all. We begin to think it is simply truth, simply the way things are. For someone who has never experienced romantic love, this constant drumbeat creates a particular kind of pressure, a sense that you are failing at something essential, that everyone else has figured out a secret you cannot crack, that there is a party happening somewhere and you were never given the address. There is a feeling that deserves a name. Let us call it fictional authenticity. It is the sense that your life is somehow less real than the lives you see portrayed around you. That you are a background character in a story where romantic love is the main plot. That your experiences, however rich and meaningful they might be on their own terms, are somehow a footnote to the main event, a prelude to something that will never come. This feeling is a lie, but it is a powerful lie, because it comes from everywhere. From family gatherings where relatives ask when you will settle down. From friends who organize their lives around romantic partnerships and cannot quite understand why you have not done the same. From a culture that treats single people past a certain age as either objects of pity or subjects of suspicion. The pressure is not just external, it becomes internal. It takes up residence in your own mind. You start to wonder if there is something fundamentally wrong with you. You replay interactions looking for evidence of your deficiency. You measure yourself against a standard that was never designed with you in mind. You pathologize your own nature. This is exhausting. It drains energy that could go to other things, and it is unnecessary because the standard itself is flawed. The assumption that romantic love is essential to a complete human life is not a fact. It is a cultural belief, and cultural beliefs can be questioned. Romantic love is beautiful. For those who experience it, it can be transformative. It can deepen the sense of meaning. It can provide comfort and companionship and profound joy. But it is not the only path to a meaningful life. It is not even the only path to deep connection. It is one flavor of human experience among many, one color in a palette that contains countless others. Consider friendship. The ancient Greeks had multiple words for love because they understood that love takes many forms. There is eros, romantic passion, the fire that burns between lovers. But there is also philia, the love between friends. This love can be just as profound, just as lasting, just as central to a life well lived, perhaps more so in some cases, because it does not carry the weight of all the expectations we load onto romantic partnership. Some of the deepest bonds in human history have been friendships, bonds of loyalty and understanding that lasted decades, that survived distance and disagreement and the changes that time brings, that remained constant when everything else shifted. These relationships are not lesser because they lack romantic dimension. They are simply different, and for some people, they are enough. They are more than enough. And consider the love of purpose, the love of craft, the love of contribution. When someone dedicates their life to healing others, to creating beauty, to expanding the boundaries of knowledge, to making the world slightly better than they found it, they are engaging in an act of love. They are pouring themselves into something larger than their individual existence. They are participating in the great human project that stretches across generations. This too is a form of wholeness. This too is a complete life. This too deserves to be celebrated and honored. We must also speak about the fear that sometimes underlies these questions. The fear of dying alone. The fear of growing old without a partner by your side. The fear of facing the darkness at the end of life without someone holding your hand in the final hours. These fears are real. They deserve to be taken seriously rather than dismissed. The prospect of facing the end alone is frightening for most humans. We are social creatures. We evolved in groups. The idea of ultimate isolation touches something primal. But these fears rest on assumptions that are worth examining closely. The truth is that having a romantic partner does not guarantee you will not die alone. Marriages end. Partners die first. Illness and dementia and the simple cruelties of aging can separate people even when love remains strong between them. The security we imagine in partnership is partly illusion. It is a story we tell ourselves to feel safer in an uncertain world. And the opposite is also true. A life without romantic partnership can still be rich with presence at the end. Friends can become family. Chosen family can be as loyal as blood. Community can provide the connection that we need. The hands that hold you in your final hours do not have to be the hands of a romantic partner to bring comfort. What matters is not the category of relationship. What matters is the quality of connection. Whether that connection comes in the form of a spouse, a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, a caregiver, matters less than whether the connection is real. And connection can be cultivated in many forms by anyone willing to do the work. Now, let us shift our perspective. Let us move from what might be missing to what is actually present, from absence to fullness, from lack to abundance. A life without romantic love is not a life of absence. It is a life with a different shape, different textures, different sources of meaning and satisfaction. And there is much that becomes possible when romantic partnership is not the organizing principle of your existence. There is freedom, the freedom to move without negotiation, to change direction without consultation, to follow your own rhythm without constantly synchronizing to another person's needs and preferences and moods. This is not selfishness. It is autonomy. And for some temperaments, autonomy is as essential as oxygen. It is not a luxury, but a necessity for their well-being. There is depth of friendship. When romantic partnership does not consume the center of your relational life, other relationships can flourish in ways they otherwise might not. Friendships can deepen into something profound and sustaining. You have more time for them, more attention to offer, more emotional resources to distribute among many connections, rather than concentrating everything in a single, all-consuming bond. There is self-knowledge. When you are not constantly mirroring another person, constantly adjusting to accommodate a partner, constantly defining yourself in relation to someone else, you have more opportunity to understand your own contours, your own preferences, your own ways of being in the world. You become deeply familiar with yourself in a way that partnership can sometimes obscure. You know what you actually want, rather than what you have negotiated for. There is contribution. The energy that might have gone into maintaining a romantic relationship can flow into other channels, into work that matters to you, into community involvement, into creative expression, into service to others. Some of the most significant contributors to human welfare throughout history have been people whose lives were not organized around romantic partnership. None of this is meant to suggest that romantic love is inferior or that partnership is a mistake. It is not a competition between ways of living. People who find fulfilling romantic partnerships are not doing anything wrong. The point is simply that there are many ways to live a complete human life, many paths to meaning and connection and joy. Romantic partnership is one of them. It is not the only one. The question is not whether you will find romantic love. The question is whether you will find a life that fits you, a life that honors your particular nature, a life that recognizes your specific gifts and limitations and builds something beautiful from both, a life that feels like yours rather than a costume you are wearing to please others. For some people, that life includes romantic partnership at its center. For others, it does not. Neither version is superior. They are simply different expressions of the vast range of human possibility. Different instruments in the orchestra of existence. And here is something important to remember. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to discover at 40 what you did not know at 20. You are allowed to find love late or never find it at all. You are allowed to decide that partnership is not for you and then discover years later that it is. You are allowed to live without certainty about these deep questions. The pressure to have your life figured out, to know with confidence whether you are someone who will love romantically or someone who will not. This pressure is artificial. It is manufactured by a culture that loves clean categories and tidy stories. Life does not require you to choose a label and stay there forever. Life only asks that you pay attention to what is actually true for you in this moment. And that truth is allowed to evolve. And that truth might be complex. You might want romantic love and also fear it. You might be content alone and also experience moments of loneliness. You might feel broken sometimes and also know in your deeper wisdom that you are not. These contradictions can all exist in the same heart at the same time. Humans are large. We contain multitudes. We do not have to be consistent to be whole. Let us return to where we began, to the quiet that exists in some hearts where others feel the tumult of romantic longing. That quiet is not empty. It is full of other things, full of observation and perception, full of reflection and contemplation, full of a particular kind of attention that becomes possible when you are not caught up in the drama of romance. There is value in that quiet. There is wisdom available there that the noise of passion can drown out. If you have never been in love, you have not missed your life. You have simply lived a different one. And different does not mean lesser. It means particular. It means specific to you. It means your own. The world will keep telling you that love is the answer. But the world says a lot of things. The world once believed the earth was flat and the sun revolved around us. The world once believed certain people were worth less than others based on how they looked or where they were born. The world is often wrong about the things that matter most. You are allowed to question its assumptions. What matters is not whether you match the template the world provides. What matters is whether you can find peace with who you actually are. And that peace is possible, not easy, not automatic, but possible, achievable, within reach. It begins with letting go of the idea that there is something wrong with you. It continues with genuine curiosity about your own nature rather than judgment of it, with attention to what actually brings you alive rather than what should bring you alive according to others, with the courage to build a life around your actual self rather than some imagined version of who you think you should be. You are not missing a chapter. You are writing a different book. And that book is worth reading. That life is worth living. That heart, quiet as it may be, is still a heart, still capable of depth and connection, still capable of beauty and meaning, still entirely, completely, wonderfully whole. If this exploration resonated with you, we would love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences in the comments below. Tell us about the shape of your own journey. We are all learning from each other here. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Your heart knows things that words cannot capture. Trust it, even in its silence, especially in its silence. The quiet ones among us have always had their own kind of wisdom, and that wisdom matters. It has always mattered. It will continue to matter long after the noise fades away.